Welcome back to Part 2, walking teachers through getting started with the first mini unit in the Digital Passport to Social Studies curriculum. You will see, as we move forward through the slides, the focus question, the lesson objective, and when we get to slide 5, you will see that this lesson was designed to get students thinking about what history is and defining history before studying the early civilizations. You'll begin with a class prompt asking, "What is history?" You may choose to ask students to write their responses in a separate notebook or type directly into the chat. It might be helpful to ask students to wait until you count down to post all of the responses in the chat at the same time, or to give them the option to send their response as a private message to the teacher. Another option, of course, would be to ask students to unmute their microphones. You'll then start with a working definition for the class that students can revisit and revise throughout the unit. The first two introduction and model slides can be used for independent work, followed by a whole class discussion or breakout groups. If you choose to use breakout groups, you may want to keep each group size to around 4 or 5 students and assign a student to be the group's note taker. As you move on to the text, history is not everything from now backwards. That is the past. You may choose to do a read aloud or ask the students to read and annotate independently. These notes should connect back to the focus question, what is history? From there, when we get to the 5-3-1 strategy, this is an opportunity to let students know that you will use this strategy with other content throughout the year. While students work on the 5-3-1 strategy independently, you can see their progress as they type by looking at their digital materials in the Google Classroom site. You can also ask students to press the green check in the participants box in your Zoom meeting to let you know when they are done. The next slides focus on the video Intro to History by Professor Robert B. Bain, with guiding questions for the students to answer. You may choose to pause at the times that are listed and give the students 1 to 2 minutes to write their answers before moving on to the next section of the video. After the video, allow students time to answer the wrap-up questions and use those questions for a whole class discussion. Or you could ask students to post their answers in the chat and allow time for students to read through one another's responses. Finally, the check for understanding asks students to answer the question, why is it important to consider history as interpretation of the past? There is space in the digital materials in the blue boxes for students to write their responses. They could be submitted as a virtual exit ticket, or again you could ask students to share their answers using the microphone or by using the chat. This concludes the video series for getting started with Digital Passport to Social Studies Unit 1, Day 1. Thank you for your time and attention.